Hey, this is Politics with Laura, to where everything is politics. Whether if it's here locally in the US or if it's international, you will get the true news because I use newspapers from around the world. Politicians here or politicians over there, or if there's a war here or a war over there, I would make sure that you know about it. Hey, this is Politics with Laura, and I got a good one for you today. Today, I'm going to talk about two topics. Normally, I get into politics, but I'm going to get into the thick of it. I mean, I'm going to get into the trenches. Okay. Margaret Taylor Greene, Congresswoman, and Congressman Grosar are at a hot topic. Two MAGA Republicans that were said to have caused a lot of issues when it came to voting for the Speaker of the House. Not only them causing issues there, but also previously to where they both were taken off of committees by the Republican Speaker. Well, not the Republican Speaker, but in those individual committees that they were kicked off of. So there's some back and forth going on there. And there's gnashing of the teeth now since the Republicans are in control. The Democrats are crying foul. When the Democrats were in control, the Republicans were crying foul. Heck, I say stop, act like adults, and do our bidding, and stop with all this back and forthness. That's just my 2 cents. And the other is the Roman Catholic Church. Not what you're thinking of, no. Talking about a Catholic school and how they are politicizing, the students, I might add, are politicizing two certain issues that they want within the religious school. Having said all that, let's first go to the politics, the political part first with the Republicans. Now, some of us might know that there are people from other countries and how their politicians behave, and we are close to it. We are close to what they do in Bolivia. Check this out. When they don't get along, they get that banging. Okay, I wonder if that's Matt Gaetz and oh my goodness, Matt Gaetz and Speaker McCarthy. Oh my goodness. I digress. And we're gonna have a conversation in a short video. I'm gonna stop it periodically to give my thoughts.
There is no consequence to going against the speaker. They hold the power. They had it then. They have it now. They have it with these powerful committees. And so clearly there's not going to be a rebuke from within their own party's leadership if they were to step out of line again with anti-Semitic, racist, or violent remarks that were the things that got them kicked off when Democrats had control of this chamber.
The same members who caused the Speaker's vote to take 5 days and 15 ballots and a whole lot of humiliation have been assigned to super powerful committees. Matt Gaetz and Andy Biggs on Judiciary, Lauren Boebert and Paul Grosar on Oversight, and many, many others. So let's get right to it with retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She also ran for Senate in Kentucky against Minority Leader Mitch.
Okay, before we even get to this, these are two people, one Democrat, the other one Republican. Michael Steele, the gentleman on the right. Well, only one guy, so. He was the former Speaker of the House for the Republican Party, and they came out and said that they used him and then got rid of him. So he has a lot to say. A lot of get back, and I must say, justifiably so. So when he says something, it's going to be through experience with the Republican Party. So I'm not familiar with this lady here, but let's get to it.
McConnell and my friend Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former lieutenant governor of Maryland. Amy, I turn to you first. These committee assignments, what are we really in for? I mean, it was a week and a half ago. Lauren Boebert was on this show with me saying she couldn't trust Kevin McCarthy. He wasn't a man of his word, and he just hooked that sister up.
Well, you know, and I know we're talking politics here, but I really want to bring it just quickly to national security. I mean, when you have Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Homeland Security Committee, really it's a slap in the face to everybody that wears the uniform that, you know, swears to protect.
Okay, before we even get into this, I want to say this. Congressman Swallow, poor guy, he was on committees, but he was not able to get top secret clearance in the private sector. He couldn't even get a clearance at Walmart. I digress. So I want to put that out there as far as the Democrats are concerning Democrats, because right now they're focusing only on Republicans, but I like looking at both sides. Okay, let's get into this.
Country. I mean, this is somebody who is a known insurrectionist who said that if January 6th, if she were in charge, they would have succeeded. This is somebody who regularly amplifies Vladimir Putin and Russian propaganda in Ukraine, who encourages violence against her fellow members of Congress, against Democrats, her fellow Americans, to be on the Homeland Security Committee. You know, I mean, when Michael Steele, who's with you tonight, was in charge of the Republican Party, when I was in the military, the Republican Party was considered the party of national security, the serious party of national security. These positions would be filled with people who had military experience or intelligence experience. And look who we have on these committees.
All right. Okay. Now, oh man, we got to keep in mind the senators or Congress people are voted by their constituents. Now, if they're voting people in that have not served in the military, what do you expect? Some of the people, or most of the people that are in the Congress, have not served. So to sit there and to say that, I would say a little disingenuous. And we got to do a little better than that. I can see that you're a Democrat, and okay, fine. Well, no, let me take that back. I don't know if you're a Democrat, but be fair. That's all I want.
Now, I mean, it's really an outrage and a disservice to our country.
Michael, when you were in charge of the party, there were Republican members of Congress that are still Republican members of Congress today, many of whom were standing side by side with Kevin McCarthy from vote 1 to vote 15. Mm-hmm. Do they now have egg on their face, and how are they feeling?
Well, you know, I think they got their guy in. They're not happy about the price that they paid to get him the seat. They're not happy about the price they continue to have to pay. And this is where it all comes home. You know, on these committees, what happens when, you know, egregious actions are proposed or legislation is proposed that puts the House and certainly McCarthy's leadership into question on issues like national security, on issues like the economy. How does Kevin deal with that, and who does he turn to? Who does he turn to in that group of 200? Does a Steve Scalise assume a greater role to sort of clean up the mess, which likely is going to happen? I mean, look, in 2 years, we'll get to do this all again. There's no guarantee that Kevin's going to hold the seat. So there's a lot at stake for him to sort of front load as much of this as possible, appease these folks, keep the level of noise down to a minimum, and try to get through the next 18 months and have a presidential nominee who will likely become the center of focus and take a little bit of heat off of him.
Now I have to say I absolutely agree with him because he's going to have to tote the line, especially when they made the concessions that they did, and they gave a lot in order to get. But however, I gotta say I was quite surprised when Speaker McCarthy was confronted by a Democrat. I don't quite remember who it was, but put it out on the line saying, "Hey, well, you had not senator, but Congressman Swallow, who did not even hold security clearance. But as these elections came, the FBI came and said, nope, he can't be on committees because he does not have top security clearance. But the Democrats allowed him on it, knowing that, and being briefed on top secret information that he had preview to when he was not supposed to. However, I'm going to leave it right there and go on to the next one, and that is the Catholic Church. It's going to be quite interesting as we walk down this road. I like the scenery. But as we walk down this road, we're going to go into the Catholic Church, and it's not what you think. The issue is BLM and LGBTQI flags being flown to school, and it's a religious school. Keep that in mind. And there is especially in the Constitution, separation between church and state. How things have laxed. The Constitution has laxed. And I believe that there are people that want, and this is my opinion, to do away with the Constitution. All right, let's listen to what he has to say.
For more than a year, the Nativity School of Worcester has, at the request of students, flown flags in support of the Black Lives Matter movement and LGBTQ pride. According to the school, they fly to remind our young men, their families, and Nativity Worcester staff that all are welcome here and that they are valued and safe in this place. But that is not how the Catholic Bishop of Worcester sees it, apparently. As was reported in the Boston Globe, Bishop Robert McManus is demanding the school take down the flags or lose the right to call itself a Catholic school. Seriously? Punishing them for flying flags, showing support?
All right, before we even go down this rabbit hole, let's keep one thing clear. That it is a religious school and its morals are based on the Holy Scriptures. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he's right. If you do lax it, then it's no longer a religious school. It's any other private school. But let's continue.
For marginalized people. I should also note here that the Nativity School of Worcester is a tuition-free school for boys in grades 5 through 8, almost all of whom are students of color from low-income families. Now, we did invite the Worcester bishop to join us tonight, as well as someone from the school. Both declined our offer, with the bishop's office pointing to a statement that says, in part, as the bishop of the diocese, I must teach that it is imperative that a Catholic school use imagery and symbols which are reflective of that school's values and principles, so as to be clear with young people who are being spiritually and morally formed for the future.
Now, before we even get into the interview, I'm going to say that the person that's going to be interviewed is going to go after or start talking about, okay, let me just hold that. Let's just go ahead and, I think he's going to do this, but let me make sure that he is before I say anything.
So what is the bishop's record helping young people grow? I'm joined by Mitchell Garabedian, who's represented thousands of survivors of sexual abuse by members of the Catholic Church. Leadership. Mitchell, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
What's your reaction to the bishop's directive to take down the flags?
It's a failure of moral and spiritual leadership. Bishop McManus has been at the forefront of re-victimizing clergy sex victims through the years. He refused.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew that's exactly where he was going to go. Muddy the waters. It has nothing to do with abuse at all. It has, and then to say re-victimize, that right there is a bit much, sir. It's about the flags. It is about the flags, and you're bringing something else into it to muddy the waters. That is not cool. And now I understand why Bishop McNally didn't comment nor come on, because it is. That's so unfair, in my opinion.
Just to release the names of credibly accused priests. He refuses to release important secret files that would help victims try to heal about sexual abuse and supervisors hiding the sexual abuse. So this is the more of the same. Bishop McManus's position does not help anyone in the school feel safe or valued. It's just the opposite. They feel unsafe and they feel devalued. And my first reaction to the story was, I hope children are not being...
Oh, goodness gracious. He really went there. So, if I'm understanding him correctly, because Bishop McNally does not want the Black Lives Matter flag and the LGBTQI flag is making the students feel unsafe because of those flags are not flying, but not talking about the safety within a school, anyone coming out, but then you want to take that cheap shot. Man, look, you may disagree with me, and that's fine. My thing is, stick to the topic.
Used there because of the ugly track record of the Jesuits in the Diocese of Worcester children and covering it up.
Yeah, I want to get back to...
Okay, again, what does that have to do with the flags? What does that have to do with the flags?
Manus in a second, but to put his concerns about this, alleged concerns about these flags in context, I assume most viewers know there was a pope who once said, "Who am I to judge about gays and lesbians?" That was this pope. Apparently, McManus thinks he should be judging. And correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay, look. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. I don't know why the pope would say that, because he is the vicar, meaning the replacement of Christ. That's all I can do, just shake my head.
Pope Sean O'Malley, the cardinal here, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, have all endorsed Black Lives Matter. Am I not right about that?
I believe you are, but Bishop McManus has taken a different route. He's trying to condemn these innocent children. He's trying to condemn marginalized individuals, and he's destroying the morality.
Oh, stop it. Oh, my goodness. Okay. When it comes to schools, you have to maintain a curriculum. And within that curriculum, that is what you're going to have your moral basis and what you're going to teach. Having those flags has nothing at all to do with what's going on in the school. And if he really wants to, I would challenge him to look at the school's mission. Does it say anything about the flags? Yeah, I know I'm being a little petty. I know I am. But I just don't like when people, I don't care the left or the right, it doesn't matter to me, to muddy the waters like that just to score points. That is disgusting, and you don't do that.
Of individuals, or is at least trying to, and the individuals should not allow that to happen, considering these sentiments, these opinions are coming from a person who has allowed the wholesale sexual for decades and covered it up.
You know, when you said he's refused to release the list of credibly accused clergy, and I somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, 80% of the dioceses have done this, is there ever any top-down pressure on a diocese that decides to be an outlier on something like that, or it's every man for themselves?
Jim, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's politics within the Catholic Church. The bishop may say one thing and the Pope could say another, but no one's taking any action. It's all a bunch of words. Apparently, they think society is a bunch of dummies because it's all a bunch of words. It's not followed up by any action. If Pope Francis really meant what he said, he'd be asking Bishop McManus to say the correct things, at least say the correct things. And he's not even doing that. So the Pope can issue his statement and Cardinal O'Malley can issue his statement, but you have Bishop McManus acting a certain way. And as a metropolitan of Massachusetts, Cardinal O'Malley should be instructing Bishop McManus to support those who were marginalized. They're doing just the opposite.
By the way, this Bishop McManus, in addition to his behavior,
I can't do nothing but shake my head. I don't like the fact that this gentleman here is using those two flags and the different and their causes as talking points for this. I have no words. However, I'm going to leave it right there because he does go on. I just listened to just a little bit of it. I didn't go all the way in depth into it as I just did. And walking down that road. All right, so my thought is this. Based on everything that I presented about the Republicans taking over the House and what Speaker McCarthy had to do to become Speaker, taking 15 votes in order to get it, promising them the world, switching people all over the place, taking some Democrats off of their committees and placing them other places like AOC. I know she's upset that she's no longer on her committee. She's on a different committee. However, it is what it is. Now, as far as the two flags, that right there, again, politics has nothing to do with the church or the school. And they have to stick to the curriculum. You may feel how you feel, and I respect that. But however, it doesn't change the fact that there's a separation between church and state, and politics has nothing to do with what goes on in that school. You muddy the water to throw other things in there and not sticking to the topic, because I believe he knew that. Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. But on that note, what do you think as we walk up this road? I want to thank you for stopping by, because you could be anywhere, but you decide to stay here with me and listen to my video, because politics runs the world. Now, whether if you agree with the politics or not, put something down in the comment section. Whether if you agree or disagree with me, that is okay. We can agree to disagree, or we can agree to agree. So please help me get to 500 subscribers, and then help me get to 1,000 subscribers. And thank you for stopping by.